Why do you look like a burnt crayon right now?
Why? I don't know. What kind of a question
What
is
color
that?
would you call that?
Oh, this? I have a mustard shirt on.
That's not mustard.
Can we get to our guest?
That's doo-doo. Yes, joining us on the show right now, our
idiot.
legal correspondent, our friend, Attorney Liz Hudak of Berkman & Hudak in Carmel, New York.
Hello, Counselor.
Hey, Liz.
Well, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning to you. Man, it was a great idea of us to get you on staff for $0. Let me tell you what right now.
What do you say, touche?
Yeah. This Harvey Weinstein thing is bonkers, and what I find most interesting, and it's what I want to lead with, is how come no one has yet to file charges against Harvey Weinstein for all these allegations?
Well, I think part of the answer lies in the fact that Harvey Weinstein and his company has paid off a plethora of individuals who have alleged certain acts against him. Before I forget, his spokeswoman, Sally Hoffmeister, said any allegations of non-consensual sex and retaliation were denied. So that's important to say because, as you might gather, even though there are a lot of people that are saying they couldn't sue because of non-disclosure agreements, they can. In other words, what they're going to allege now is that he didn't perform certain things he had to perform after he performed certain things he really shouldn't have performed with them.
Whoa.
And at that point, so you're going to have that. You did have someone who actually did look to the police and the district attorney's office. Her name was Ambra Gutierrez, who told the police in 2015 that Weinstein groped her in his Tribeca office and even had a recording. They wired her. But the district attorney in Manhattan, Cyrus Vance Jr., said, no, there wasn't enough to prosecute. Of course, everyone is now pointing to many individuals, lawyers who were involved in the Weinstein Company and otherwise who contributed to his campaign. So someone did come forward. Now, to the extent that anyone else can, what's going to happen is there's a statute of limitations. So, in New York where, I punch you in the head and you have to sue me in a year, otherwise forget about it. Mm-hmm. Well, that's another problem. However, I think Mr. Weinstein is going to have some issues because if he's accused criminally and there is no statute of limitations for the type of allegations that are being lodged against him, people can still sue civilly a year to 5 years after the criminal action is over. So I think Mr. Weinstein is going to have some issues.
To the point about the statute of limitations, is that different in different states? Because I'm assuming a lot of this happened in different states. I mean, he's got a home in L.A. and Connecticut. I think he has one in New York.
London, France. I mean, he's all over the place. Actually, that's interesting. Remember, my debut on your show had to do with Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, New York, we don't have a statute of limitations for those kind of acts, which are forcible compulsion of certain sex acts. Mm-hmm. We have no statute of limitation. Now, California, where there are more allegations coming out, they had a 10-year statute of limitation. But Governor Jerry Brown, because of the Cosby issues and 60 women who were alleging terrible acts against him, he extended the statute of limitations to forever. However, it only starts in January of 17. So California is now in line with New York, where there are no statute of limitations for certain sex crimes. So,
but that doesn't that starts. That's not retroactive. That starts January. That started in January.
Correct, but there's someone out there who's alleging that something happened in 2013.
Right. Okay.
The interesting thing is the LAPD, Los Angeles Police Department, is looking for this woman, and they think she's overseas, but she hasn't come forward yet. Now, Gloria Allred, your other connection to good old Bill Cosby, the famous attorney who brings all these women to the forefront, is apparently sometime today going to be making an announcement regarding an additional accuser. So I wonder if that's this woman.
We're talking to Attorney Liz Hudak of Berkman & Hudak in Carmel, New York, our legal correspondent about the Harvey Weinstein situation.
Oh, yeah. And also, you guys before, I was listening, and I just wanted to say that, I'm sorry, Lou, if you consented to Ethan, performing that, certain act.
I was stretching.
It was.
I'm just saying.
With my
I'm not
pants
entirely
on.
certain.
There's a gray area there because it was licking my lips at the time.
You got it.
I want to go back to something that happened like a week and a half ago that I had never heard of before, and I'm going to paraphrase my way through this. TMZ did a story about Harvey Weinstein setting up in his contract with the board of directors for his company that basically it was okay for him to sexually harass his employees and that he was not fired correctly. He should not have been fired for these things. Have you ever heard of anything like that before?
Yeah, actually, what it was is that in California, there is what we call strict liability whenever you do certain things, okay? So what happens is the Weinstein Company would be strictly liable because of any allegations, of course, proven allegations of sexual harassment. So just think about this. This company in his contract said, listen, we know we're going to get hit with this. However, we're going to say we won't fire you, but you have to reimburse us for any and all fines or any and all liability that happens to us, plus we're going to assess a penalty against you. I'm not in the big corporate world of L.A. and New York, et cetera, but I doubt that there are that many contracts out there which anticipate sexual harassment. So, that is sort of like not something I would think is ordinary.
So
but that's exactly what happened.
It was like a ridiculous preemptive strike to protect both the company and him that obviously didn't work out for either one of them.
Well, the company's going to get sued, and he's still going to have the liability, even though they fired him, even though he was, removed from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science and the Directors Guild and what have you. They'll still be on the hook if indeed they're, a company. Already they have to be changing their name. Now there's allegations against Bob Weinstein, the brother. It's really it's like a snowball rolling down a big, big snowy hill.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, we could just for a second, just for argument's sake, let's throw out any criminal litigation and assume that civilly he's wide open to all of these allegations. Like, how do you even start? Like, it starts with the first person to file charges against him. You go into court on that. Does one judge hear it for all of Los Angeles that he did bad things to? Like, how does that even work?
That's an interesting question because I think that there is still going to be a lot of women who, even though they were assaulted by him, will be embarrassed and humiliated. That's at the core of why they haven't really come out a little bit more proactively. Aside from the fact that those that did come out proactively, apparently there were settlements and non-disclosure agreements. But I think that more likely than not, unless there are a lot of common denominators with these women, that they would probably try the cases independently. And I still don't think he's out of the woods with the criminal liability. I think he's still going to be facing criminal liability with the woman if they find her and she wants to come forward, who might be over in Europe. I think that I am almost thinking that I'm hoping that New York reinstitutes the suit with the woman that they said didn't have enough. And on top of it, the Attorney General for New York State, Eric Schneiderman, is now looking into the Weinstein Company, period. He served subpoenas. He wants to see who else, what other allegations of sexual harassment there was. They're going to town on these people.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
The only good thing to come out of this, I think, now will be any young lady headed to Hollywood. No one is safe. They're going after absolutely everybody who's ever said or done the wrong thing. Like, this could be a big change in Hollywood. They don't have much of a choice, right? Everybody seems to be. Even O'Reilly's back in the frying pan right now. He said he never did anything, and then Megyn Kelly fired back. So all these dirty little secrets have come to the surface.
Oh, most definitely. And, you had Matt Damon on yesterday with George Clooney, and he was saying, he knew about Gwyneth Paltrow because his friend Affleck told him. But what's really disturbing in its own way is how secretive this all was. If it had come out earlier, certainly there would have been a lot of women who would not have been subjected to this.
Right. So many people willing to look the other way. That's terrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, apparently it looks like it was part of the culture of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, now you're going to have this effect where God knows, they're going to start looking into Wall Street. God forbid they start looking into lawyers, right? I mean, or radio shows, right? I mean, let's not do that.
You could probably tell a story or two, I bet, huh, Liz?
Hey, come on now, all right?
Hey.
All right, we got to wrap it up. Liz Hudak, Berkman and Hudak in Carmel, New York, our legal correspondent, talking about the Harvey Weinstein thing. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Liz.
Counselor.
My pleasure, guys. Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
I'm thinking here that probably, maybe I'm assuming something that's not so, is that the Harvey Weinstein company did not have an HR department. What do you think?
Or they were just like, come on, man, again? Like working overtime. Like, this is like a 15-person HR team
Right.
constantly calling their loved ones like, I'm going to be late again. Fat boy went off the rails again today.
Well, thanks to Liz Hudak for joining us. 8:31, Ethan and Lou here at I-95.